In this tutorial, we will briefly introduce seasonality. Seasonality is when demand varies up and down period by period due to external factors such as the seasons of the year. For example, sales of lawnmowers are higher in the spring and summer and lower in the fall and winter. While seasonality gets its name from the seasonal variation, it could vary around other external factors. For example, pizza sales might vary by day of the week, and call volume might vary by the time of day. Look at the chart on the slide. It is clearly trending up. Period 12 is much higher than period 1. However, it also has periodic up and down variations. This is quarterly sales data, so these up and down variations are seasonality. There are different approaches to seasonality. In these tutorials, we will be looking at two approaches I have seen used in introductory textbooks. I will show you a brief overview and you pick the one that matches your textbook. Unlike the two approaches in simple exponential smoothing, these two approaches to seasonality generate very different results. For that reason, we will be showing them in two different videos rather than together. As always, be sure to use the approach used by your textbook. The first method is one we will call the annual method, although that is somewhat of an oversimplification, as you will see. Basically, it groups all the data into a table. Each row of the table represents a full cycle. If we were talking about quarterly data, each row would be a year. For daily data, each row would be a week. For hourly data, each row would be a day. Since much forecasting deals with annual data, we call this the annual method. Each column will be the same period measured over and over. Column totals are used to compute the average demand in each period. Row totals are used to forecast the next full period. That forecast is then broken out to the periods using the seasonal indices computed off of each column total. This is the easier approach. However, you must use the approach covered in your textbook or your instructor may not give you credit for the problem. The second method is one we will call the period-by-period method. The first step is to smooth the data using a move-in average where the average period matches the seasonal period. If there's an even number of periods, as there is with quarters, a second moving average is required. Next, this smooth data is used to compute seasonal indices. Then, these seasonal indices are used to deseasonalize the data. We then use simple regression to produce a forecast for the next full cycle using the deseasonalized data. Finally, the seasonal indices are used to reseasonalize the forecast. Again, even though the annual approach is easier, you must use the same approach as is used in your textbook.
If you found that this video helped you with your operations management problem, please consider liking the video and even subscribing to the channel.